Okay, new Spears and Munsil 4K Ultra HD Benchmark disc, or discs, coming, 2023 edition. Yeah, I really can't wait for this. This is really just going to test your system, your surround sound system, everything. Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, HDR10, HDR10 Plus. This is going to have everything. So yeah, it's 3 discs, which is pretty crazy to think about. Like how many test patterns and audio files and things like that are going to be on these discs. So now you still get the glasses here. I'm assuming that's for SDR. I'm not quite sure how that works anymore for getting color correct. Back in the day when you would use the like the visors, to get color correct you would match blue to white, so they would output the same. A lot of displays though, when you did that, you would see weaknesses in the display, like the reds weren't as poppy, so you kind of had to, you know, pick and choose your poison really, or how much color or saturation you wanted. But getting these two correct was how you set that up. So, but I think that is an SDR thing, I think anyway. So, but we'll see. You get a booklet with this one as well, so it should tell you exactly how each, you know, one of these patterns work. So now I've put our release date as May 23rd. I think it's supposed to be shipping out on the 15th. So 15th. I'm hoping I'm gonna get it by Friday, like around. I hope so. Like in about 3 days. So I ordered 2. Because I want to test it on both players at the same time. I have a Panasonic UB9000 and a Revon X200, so I want to see the differences directly, just literally by switching inputs with exactly the same settings. So I put out a press release for it. Yeah, so it's going to be Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, Dolby Atmos, DTS:X. I think there's another HDR format on there. I know it's HLG, but I think there's another one too, which I've actually never heard of before. So yeah, really, this really is like gear for like enthusiasts to evaluate your display, to get your display and everything to be set up correctly, from sound levels to video levels, you know, color, things like that, black levels. Like this pattern, for instance, what you do, this is blacker than black, right? So what you want to do is you want to make this black here and here and here match together. You should never be able to see this or spot this blacker than black line. They should match together. I think this is like 2% above black, or maybe 4% above black as well. So this should match. Now I think OLEDs, for example, potentially could crush. So, but the problem is if you raise the brightness by 1 click on an OLED, you lose absolute black, and you never want to do that. So on the Panasonic UB9000, for instance, you will be able to go through different methods of increasing brightness, but without changing it in the display itself, to see if there's any crushing going on or whatever. So there's going to be a lot of patterns here to help me see what's going on even with my display. My display is calibrated. It's a LG C9 77-inch OLED. But if anything, our calibrator said, if anything, it does crush right at the end. So, but there's a lot of things on the Panasonic UB9000 you can do to alleviate that. So, yeah. Every pattern has been rethought with high dynamic range and 4K Ultra HD in mind. It's pretty, yeah. It's definitely exciting, that's for sure. Almost every pattern has been encoded multiple versions, with metadata and peak levels adjusted for a variety of HDR display technologies. In the previous disk, we had a separate one. We had 1,000 separate file encodes, and the new one they're going to have like over 5,000 with video and audio clips. So I mean, this is insane. I mean, even the first one, to be honest, had so many, it was almost difficult to keep up with where they were and how to use. So hopefully they will be separated on disks in a meaningful way, you know. I hope, anyway. So, like the previous disk, the patterns are created from scratch, in-house software, using C++. That is really interesting. See, like test patterns like this, if I had to make test patterns like this, what I would do, I would use, well, essentially paint, right? And then get the hex colors for all of these and just put them, you know, literally put them in, but into an SDR format, right? So it's basically true RGB. That's how I would make them, you know, to do all this. But they're making them in a completely different way, like with code. I mean, I would have no idea how you would do that, but yeah, lots of test patterns as well for like blacker than black and getting true black levels. I think this disc as well is actually going to be very good for video gamers, because but the only problem is with games is that it depends what black level they've been put into. Is it limited or is it full range? Because I've done this before. I've set my colors up or my black levels up correctly using, say, an Xbox, right? The thing is, that's using limited range, and then you go into a game and your blacks look crushed. So the thing is, though, some interesting thoughts about this is that my black level adjustment was only ever about 8 clicks away from being not crushed. So in a limited black level, you have, in SDR specifically, you have black starts at 16 and white ends at 235. And interesting enough, so black starts at 16. If you had maximum black level, there'd be 16 points in between that range. So increasing the black level by 8 would suggest that every 2 of those values is 1 click on my old display, which I found interesting. So, and once I knew that for calibrating games, I knew it was always 8 clicks away to get black levels exactly perfect on an Xbox. I thought that was very interesting. So I think this is still going to be a useful disc for Xbox players, PlayStation gamers, maybe PC gamers, but depends if you can actually play 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays on the PC itself. I think you need an Intel CPU to do that. So the only other way would be to rip the disc with Make MKV. For personal use, obviously. And then you could just play the file. You could copy all the disk onto your PC and then play each one of the individual files. Obviously, then you'd have to find the test patterns and things like that, but you could still play them. And you could test whether, so like here, VLC Media Player was outputting the same black levels as, say, the Windows player that you get. Things like that. So you could definitely get a PC set up correctly, but then you'd have to worry about what the games are doing, because there's no real standardization in games. That's the problem with black levels. They can be all over the place. So that is one benefit of movies and discs like this. They are standardized and black levels are as they should be with this. So yeah, so moving on a little bit from the games, but in this set we've included videos in HD, UHD, in SDR, encoding in both BT2020 and BT709, which is SDR, and this is typically HDR. HDR10, HDR10 Plus, Dolby Vision. On the audio side, we've included test material in both Dolby Atmos and DTSX. Now, the reason for this, I've heard, is that not so much the receivers, but more like processors. Processors can have completely different settings for DTSX. And I'm talking volume levels and everything like that. So that is the purpose of having both of them. You could literally calibrate both now and have the levels perfect. Because I've heard as well that DTS is actually about 1 dB louder as well than Dolby Atmos, or at least it used to be. I'm not sure if it is anymore. But and I believe the Spears and Munsil discs, they actually rectify that. Both of these should have balanced outputs. So yeah, more black levels and clipping. You want to see if your whites are clipping. The thing is with this as well, you could increase your contrast, clip this, clip this, clip this. You never get brighter than this white color. Like, that is the maximum peak output of white in your system. So if you clip this, this, and this, you just lose information. That's all you're doing. So these type of test patterns are going to be extremely important. For HDR as well, you could have issues with HDR, and potentially you did need to lower your contrast. Now, generally speaking, in HDR, most of the time the default settings for the accurate mode, whichever that one may be, on a LG it's Cinema or Filmmaker, but I'm not sure if Filmmaker mode is as I don't think it's got as much punch or as bright as the cinema modes. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe there were some early bugs in something like the CX and stuff like that. But maybe they've rectified Filmmaker mode now. But yeah, all of these test patterns you're going to be able to test for every single input and every single resolution and things like that. So it's going to be awesome. This is, yeah, I'm pretty much geeking out to this, so yeah, it's definitely going to be fun for me. So yeah, they've got it as coming out as May 16th. I think they said actually May 15th, but I just wanted to make sure that it was released on Tuesdays. In the US, we release discs on the Tuesdays, so that's where I put the release date. Yeah, so yep. Demo material encoded in all supported HDR formats. Extensive selection of test patterns for the professional calibrator. Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick one on this one, really. And I think I'm going to start maybe doing some videos on this about how, just the basics, like how do you evaluate your TV with just simple test patterns to say, okay, without a professional calibrator, is my display set up correctly? Might start doing a few videos like that. And also I'm really tempted to calibrate my sound system right from scratch again. Because what I do is I measure with REW, and this is Multi-EQX app. It's an Odyssey app, and basically allows you to fully manually calibrate your system. So yeah, this is definitely a fun time, and this is really good to see. I love people really that push the current technology, video quality and audio quality as high as possible, and this disc will do that without a doubt, or these discs. Now, I have seen some of the demo material. I've seen some early encodes just to see the color grading. The difference between the first disc and this disc is shocking to me. The color grading is so much better. So yeah, definitely can't wait for this. Yeah, just a quick one today. So yeah, Spears and Munsil 2023 disc coming out. Yeah, in about a couple of weeks. Can't wait to see it. And yeah, okay, if you have any questions about the disc, please let me know. We are selling it. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get in. Probably, I'm thinking about 3 days, so to get in and then ship out. So, but yeah, if you are interested, just let me know, or have any questions. I'll see if I can get back to you. All right, thanks. Bye.